Hi everyone, Robin Shea here. It is day 3 of Before the Fork, the 28-day experience. And I have Ed that's sneaking in my room. Come on, Ed. Come on, Ed. Ed's our cat. I told you I was going to be shooting the video tonight from Spartan Stadium, but we're actually having, what do they call it, tailgating. So I thought it might be a little bit crazy. So you're getting this video a little early. I hope that's okay with everybody. This morning I told you that I was going to cover 2 things tonight, and I love both of these subjects. If I lisp a little bit, I do apologize. I have my retainer in, and Greg, he makes so much fun of me when I wear my retainer because I do get a little bit of a lisp going, so I apologize for that. Hi, Kim. Hi, Brent. Glad to have y'all. Okay, I want to tell y'all the suitcase story. But before I tell you the story, let me back up just a little bit and tell you kind of what led up to it. When I experienced my massive transformation and I just fell apart, fell in my hole, cried out to God to really restore and replenish me, and he absolutely did, and all of that toxic resistance just melted away. I had this incredible sense of calm wash over me. And when I went to bed that very first night that I had gone to the grocery store, I had folded all of the laundry, cleaned off my dinner table, made the menu, bought the flowers. Hi, Teresa. Wrote Greg his invitation to the dinner table. I had this beautiful sense of calm that had just washed over me. And when I went to bed that night, even though Greg didn't join us for dinner, that first night, actually the first couple of nights, and Greg didn't join us for dinner, when I laid my head down at night, those first couple nights, I was able to go into prayer with God and say, I did everything I could do today, and I'm pleased. I'm pleased with where I am. I'm pleased with the effort that I put forth. Please restore me through the night and let me wake again fresh tomorrow without any baggage from the day before. Well, that evolved into a daily practice and a recognition of the fact that I was living my life in 24-hour blocks. I never brought any perceived failure from the day before into the next day. So as this became more of a habit to me, and I became more aware of the power of leaving yesterday's transgressions in yesterday and starting each day as a rebirth, a recommitment, a rededication to my journey, it blessed my life in so many ways I can't even begin to tell you. So I imagined this kind of scenario in my mind, and it's every morning that we wake up and we get out of bed, we have a suitcase at the end of our bed, and we pick that suitcase up and we travel with that suitcase throughout our day. And what we are collecting in that suitcase is our transgressions, our failures, our missteps, our maybe the moments that we couldn't pull ourselves out of a negative emotion, or maybe an occasion where we cussed at someone for cutting us off in traffic, or we didn't adhere to our nutritional guidelines and we blew it. And all day long, we're just going through our day, putting things in that suitcase. And then when we come to our bed at the end of our day, we set the suitcase at the end of the bed. We go and we lay our head down on our pillow and we do kind of an evaluation of our day. We think about the items that we collected that we put into the suitcase. Did they serve us? Did we utilize them? Was there something else that we could do? These kind of go along the lines with your journal pages. Did we make the most of those opportunities? And then we bless those transgressions Whether we learned from them or not, we bless them where they are. And during the night, the momentum of those transgressions and the power that they had over us to push us into guilt, to push us into self-judgment, to push us into eroding our self-esteem and disconnecting us from our desired self-story. That momentum slows way down. And God does a beautiful thing while we sleep. He purifies us. He stops the negative emotions from spinning and continuing to gain momentum. So when we wake up the next morning, we are faced with a challenge. We're faced with our first decision of the day. So we step our feet on the bed, out of the bed, we step our feet on the floor, and now at the foot of our bed are two suitcases, the one from the previous night and a fresh one waiting for us. And it is up to us to decide which suitcase we are going to carry with us through the day. Are we going to carry a fresh suitcase that holds all the possibility in the world? There's no baggage in there. There's no transgressions, just a fresh opportunity to go through our day with a heightened awareness of where we could improve. And that's what we're putting in the suitcase. Or are we going to pick up the suitcase from the day before that's full of things we are unwilling to let go of, things that we're going to continue to allow to define us, things that are going to stay in judgment of us and keep that disconnection from our source? You see, when we wake up in the morning and we put our feet on the floor and we have slowed the momentum of all of those toxic, heavy, judgmental emotions that were in that suitcase at the foot of our bed, we are in a direct connection with God. That's why our morning journaling is so very important, because all the momentum from the day before has slowed so far down that we're in the perfect place to re-identify and reconnect with all the goals of the day. So it's up to you at the end of every day and at the beginning of every day to decide what you want to do with your suitcase. Do you want to keep it alive? Do you want to pick up the heavy suitcase and drag it through your day? It's so full now that you can't even fit all the transgressions inside of it. It's heavy, it's weighing you down, it's reminding you of the areas in your life that you're unwilling to let go of so that a birth can happen. Or are you going to pick up the fresh suitcase that is light and airy, that God has blessed, that God provides you as an opportunity to acknowledge areas of improvement? It's completely and totally up to you. And this applies in every area of your life, not just your health and fitness. It applies in the relationships in your life. As a matter of fact, how many times have you gone to bed and you've gotten into a little squabble with your significant other, your husband, your wife, and you don't even want to feel them touching you. You put a pillow in between you. You're just so frustrated and so irritated with them. And as you go into your sleep state, the momentum wanes and it starts to slow down. And then you notice by 4 o'clock in the morning, you have your feet all tangled together with theirs. And there's nothing more soothing than laying your head on their shoulder and drinking them in. It's because the momentum stopped. Now, sometimes we're so angry that we choose to keep the momentum alive all through the night. And we wake up and we're equally as angry as we did when we went to bed. That's a whole nother topic. And there's maybe some deep-seated things there that need to be looked at. But for the most part, when it's just a silly little transgression, we don't want to keep it alive. And our body, because that momentum slows down, that grace of God washes over us, and we realize it is not important enough to separate you from the one you love. So you find yourself, before you wake up the next morning, cuddled into them, feet tangled together, and just sharing that moment with someone that's very special to you. Well, it's no different with the suitcases at the end of your bed. So give some thought to that, and I hope that served you in some way. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was Defining your 20%. Guys, this is an experience. Your 20% needs to be made so very special. So I encourage you to do a couple things. I encourage you to buy a 20% journal, a beautiful journal, or a very masculine journal, if that's what you would prefer. But buy a beautiful journal and start to, every time you have the idea of something that you're wanting, you're feeling a weakness, and you're steadfast in your 80% and your 20% isn't for a couple days, I want you to go to your journal and I want you to write about how amazing it's going to be. Set the stage in your mind, experience it in your mind. Buy yourself a beautiful plate to enjoy the meal on, or the dessert on. Buy a special coffee cup or whatever, a beautiful wine glass, whatever it is. Embody the celebration that is your 20%. Embody the entire experience. Do not disrespect your 20%. And think of it in terms of your paycheck. If you have a paycheck and you've allocated 20% of your paycheck for a special night out, but rather than enjoying a special night out, you take that 20% that you had allocated for enjoyment and you buy some trash magazines and a couple cans of Coke and poof, it's gone. You can't even account for it. It brought you no joy. It brought you no joy, but you spent it nonetheless, but it brought you no joy. So your 20% has to be treated as special as your vacation fund. You're saving up for it and you're going to savor every second of it. So hopefully, because we launch tomorrow, hopefully you've allocated exactly when you're going to have your 20%. Are you in maintenance? So is your 20% going to be a daily treat? Now remember, if that's the case, we're only talking about a 200 to 250 calorie. Remember that mindless margin. We're talking about that small amount daily. Are you going to be in slow and steady? That's where I typically live, is in slow and steady, in which case it's 2 treat meals a week. So identify when those are going to happen. Look at your schedule. Look at when you're most likely to be vulnerable to temptations. Like, is there a night that you all go out as a family and you don't want to be living in your 80% in that particular environment? So look at your schedule. Carve out that 20%. So that's for 2 days. If you are doing what I'm going to be doing, which is rapid results for the next 28 days, then realize you're getting 1 meal a week that is all your own, that you can have whatever you want, which means that there's going to be multiple opportunities during the week that you're really, really going to have to lean into the journaling of your 20%. You're going to have to lean into the tips, tools, and techniques that you're going to be cultivating throughout the course. It's going to take that little bit extra willpower to lean in to that, to the support system of the tips, tools, and techniques. So you're going to have to really make sure that your foundation is good and strong. Okay, I think that's all I have for y'all tonight. I'm headed out to the football game. I'm ready to launch tomorrow. That's one other thing I do want to mention. If you're someone that wants to go out with a bang, and tonight you feel like you're going to go out and have cocktails, factor that in, that tomorrow morning may not feel as great as you would like it to. And that's going to set you up for some susceptibility first thing tomorrow morning. So be conscientious of that, okay? That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to preach. You can do what you want. I'm only here to educate you as best I can, but at the end of the day, it is completely on you. So I really liked the title of this video. It's all about the skills, not the pills. And if y'all have read my story, then you know that many, many, many years ago when I was having my babies, and the phentermine and fenfluramine were the magic combination for weight loss, such a toxic combination. So from that day, when I realized that they were doing so much damage to my body, and I switched off of those and never, ever went back to another diet pill since that day that I left Keela's office. And of course, all that is in the book. It's all about skills. Pills do nothing for you. So we're here to cultivate skills. Forget the pills. They do nothing except hold you back from becoming who you're supposed to be. Okay, I love you all. Have a super wonderful Friday night. Go Spartans. I'm going to be there cheering on number 10, number 28, and number 50. Those are my boys. And we're going to be in the stadiums cheering them on to victory. So y'all have a wonderful night, and I will see you first thing in the morning. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.